Okay, so hello my dear students. So welcome to our discussion for transfer taxes. Okay, so in our tax code, we have two transfer taxes. No, we have the donor's tax and state tax. No, so these taxes are imposed upon gratuitous transfer. No, so remember that we have common types of transfer. We have gratuitous transfer and onerous transfer. Those onerous transfer are subject to either value-added tax, percentage tax, and excise tax. Yung gratuitous transfer naman, yun yung subject to state tax, no? So, yung gratuitous transfer is our donation inter vivos, no? Or yung mag-take effect siya during lifetime. This is subject to donor's tax. Yun yung donation mortis causa naman, mag-take effect siya upon death. So, this is subject to state tax. So, yun siya. We have two transfer taxes, that's state tax and donor's tax. But for this video, we shall focus on state tax, no? Gratuitous transfer na subject to state tax, okay? So, and state tax is a tax on the right to transfer. So, take note that and state tax is not a property tax, no. It is tax on our right to transfer certain property at death and on certain transfer which are made by law equivalent to testamentary disposition or in contemplation of death. So take note that and state tax, it is an excise tax. Okay, so kasi nga it is imposed upon the right or privilege. So the object of which is the shifting of benefits and enjoyment of the property, no, from the deceased or from the decedent, no, to the living. No, so state tax accrues as of the time of death. So mag-take effect siya upon death of the decedent. Okay, so the taxpayer in state taxation is the state itself. It's not the heirs, it's not the property, no, ang subject to state tax, but the state itself, no. So before siya i-distribute sa heirs, no, kuhaan siya daan og state tax. Okay, so we'll discuss the basic concept of succession, no. So succession is a mode of acquisition by virtue of which the property, rights, and obligation to the extent of the value of the inheritance of a person are transmitted through his death or another's by will or by operation of law. So, pwede kasi siya testamentary or intestate succession, no? So, if by will, no, that's actually testamentary succession. So, ang will is an act whereby a person is permitted with the formalities prescribed by the law to control to a certain degree the disposition of his estate to take effect after his death. So, from the moment of the death of the decedent, the right to the succession are transmitted and the possession of the hereditary property is deemed transmitted to the heir, no? If mag-take effect na yung will. So, we have different kinds of will, no? So, the first one is a notarial or ordinary will. So, ito yung common na makita nato sa TV, no? Na one person is executing his will, no? One which is executed in accordance with the formalities prescribed by Article 804 to 808 of the New Civil Code. It is the will that is created for the testator, no? And common na yung mga third party, normally yung lawyer niya, and it follows proper form, no, signed and dated in front of the required number of witnesses and acknowledged by the presence of a notary public. No? So we also have holographic will naman. So ang holographic will, these are last will and testament siya na ang nagsulat, no, is the testator himself. So, yung testator yung nagawa ng will. No? So, it is entirely written, dated, and signed by the hand of the testator himself. No? Without the necessity of any witnesses, unlike with notarial or ordinary will na mag-required ng number of witnesses. But from holographic will naman, so dapat may mag-attest, no, na dapat handwritten din siya ni testator. A codicil naman, no, is a supplement or addition to a will, no, made after the execution of a will and annexed taken as a part thereof, by which any disposition made in original is explained, added, or altered. So, parang addition lang siya sa will na nagawa before. Okay? So, what are the elements of succession? First is the decedent. Of course, it is the person whose property is transmitted through succession, whether testamentary and estate or mix. No? So, walang succession din pang walang heir. No? Kasi sila man yung mag-succeed ng property. So, these are the person called to the succession either by the provision of a will, kung testamentary, or by operation of law, intestate. And then, of course, if may decedent, may heir, dapat may property, no? Kasi of course, walang i-succeed yung heir if walang property yung decedent. No? So, refers to all property rights and obligations of a person which are not extinguished upon his death. Okay, so we have kinds of succession. So first is yung testamentary, no? It results from the designation of an heir made in a will executed in the form prescribed by the law. So a decedent may dispose his properties in his last will and testament in the manner he wants. However, he must reserve some for certain persons who hold or by the law are the compulsory heirs. So that's actually legitimate. So this is actually the portion, may portion ng state na para kay compulsory heirs. No? So these are the compulsory heirs. We have the legitimate children and descendants, which include legal adopted children. And we also have, in the absence of legitimate descendants, the legitimate parents or ascendants, the surviving spouse, illegitimate child, both natural and spurious. Note that legitimate parents or ascendants can only inherit in the absence of legitimate children or descendants. So, brothers and sisters of the descendants are not considered as compulsory heirs, thus they cannot inherit it from the legitim. So, take note that from the legitim lang. No? Kasi ang legitim are the portion of the state na maato kay compulsory heirs. No? However, we do have free portion. So, pwede makareceive yung parent, no, if may legitimate children, in the brothers and sisters or anyone from the free portion. No, may legitim lang or may portion lang talaga sa state na dapat gi-reserve siya for those compulsory heirs. So, again, note no na si legitimate parents may share lang sila sa legitim or they can only inherit it, no, if walang legitimate children and descendants. Okay? So, in the absence of compulsory heirs, the successors would be a relative of the fifth degree of consanguinity. No? If there were no relatives, the government shall inherit the whole state. If there is a will, the decedent may name other persons to inherit the free portion of the net distributable estate. Yan siya. So we have kind of successors. These are successors for testamentary. So we have the legatee, an heir of personal property given by the virtue of a will. Yung devicee naman, an heir of real property. So mag-refer lang sila sa legatee, personal property, ang ma-receive niya by will. Sa devicee naman, ang ma-receive niya is real property. So under testamentary succession, properties left by the decedent are classified into, so I've said kanina, these are the free, legitim and the free portion. So again, legitim, the portion of the stator's property which could not be disposed freely, no, because the law has reserved it for the compulsory heirs. So, ang free portion naman, part of the whole estate, which the testator could dispose freely through a written will, irrespective of his relationship to the recipient. So, may rules kasi yan, no? So, yung if after the legitim, no, if complied na yung legitim, no, ang excess, no, so free yan siya i-dispose ng testator, no, the free portion. So we have also executor or executrix. These are the persons nominated by the testator to carry out the directions and requests in the decedent's will and to dispose of property according to the decedent's testamentary provisions after his death. Okay, so take note, the executor ang nag-appoint sa kanya is ang testator. Okay, testator. So, next, we have legal or intestate succession. Kasi yung testamentary lang, diba, mag-arise siya if the decedent left a will. So, if the decedent did not left a will, or if there is no will, we call that one legal or intestate succession. No? So, transmission of property when there is no will, or if there is a will, such is void or lost its validity, or nobody succeeds the will. No? So, in the intestate succession, the entire estate of the decedent is distributed to the heirs. So, walang free portion. So, ang kaibahan lang with the testamentary, no? Kasi may free portion. The compulsory heirs in the testamentary succession are also heirs in the intestate succession. However, the intestate heirs include brothers and sisters, collateral relatives within the 5th degree of consanguinity, and the state. No? So, kung ang executor ang nag-appoint is ang testator, we also have an administrator. For intestate succession, these are person appointed by the court, no, in accordance with the governing statute to administer and settle intestate estate and such state estate as no competent executor designated by the testator. Okay? So, kung walang executor, nang i-appoint si testator, ang court mismo mag-appoint, no, nag-administrator, of course, to administer the property. Okay? We also have mixed succession. So, yung mixed succession, a transmission of properties by which is affected partly by will and partly by operation of law. So normally, say for example, di lahat ng property na include sa last will and testament. So for those properties na include sa last will and testament, of course, we follow the will, or it becomes testamentary succession. For those property naman na hindi na include sa last will and testament, we follow intestate succession. Okay? Yun siya. So, we're done with the concept of succession. Let's proceed to the computation na of the estate tax. But to start with, let's discuss muna the gross estate, no? So, what comprises the gross estate of the decedent, no? So, the gross estate of a decedent, no, magdepende siya if the decedent is a resident and citizen or non-resident alien. So, resident and citizen includes resident citizen, non-resident citizen, and resident alien. No? Non-resident alien are yung property ng non-resident alien, taxable lang sila within, meaning properties within the Philippines. However, as a general rule, resident and citizens, those resident citizen, non-resident citizen, and resident alien, taxable sila within and without. Meaning to say, say resident and citizen, ang property niya from the Philippines or within the Philippines, here and abroad, are taxable. However, say NRA or si non-resident alien, taxable lang sila from the properties within the Philippines. Okay? So, we have here an summary, no? On ano yung included sa gross state if RC, NRC, and RA ka, tsaka NRA, and how to value, no? Okay, so, if resident and citizen, all real properties wherever situated, no? Kasi within and without man, so wherever situated, meaning may it be nasa Philippines or nasa abroad, included pa din siya sa gross estate, no? And sa non-resident alien naman, non-resident alien, real properties located only in the Philippines, no? Located only in the Philippines. So how to value? So real properties are valued the higher between the fair market value or the zonal value. Okay? Yan. So whichever, normally basta inclusion, but normally whichever is higher. Okay? Kasi tax base yun, di ba? Next, we have personal properties, wherever situated. So may it be tangible or intangible. Okay? So if RC and NRC, again, taxable sila within and without, so wherever situated, included sa gross estate. However, for NRA, no, taxable lang sila from the property, no, located only in the Philippines, no. Okay. So for resident citizen, we have tangible and intangible. Tangible and intangible included sa gross state, how to value. If tangible properties, pag tangible siya, fair market value at the time of death. However, in case of shares, pag shares of stock, if traded in a local stock exchange, that is the arithmetic mean between the highest and the lowest quotations. If not traded, meaning not traded in the local stock exchange, then pag ordinary shares, book value, pag per share, par value. Okay? Pag NRA naman, basta NRA, basta tangible, same pa din. For as long as property located only in the Philippines, tangible, pag tangible property, fair market value at the time of death. Okay? Pag however, for intangible properties naman, no, again, yung intangible property situated in the Philippines lang, including the gross state, unless exempted on the basis of reciprocity. So we have to determine if with reciprocity ba siya or without reciprocity. Kasi pag with reciprocity, no, ang exempted yung intangible assets na ang situs is within. No? So ano ba yung reciprocity? So say for example, may para siyang treaty between the two countries na if a Filipino citizen residing in or may property sa abroad, say for example US, no, so si Filipino citizen may property sa US, no, and then if si US do not impose transfer tax for those Filipino citizen na may property doon. Okay? Same goes here. So if my US citizen na may property sa Philippines, dili po na taxan. That's reciprocity. So if with reciprocity, exempted yung intangible property na ang site is within. However, pag without reciprocity, taxable siya. Included siya in the gross estate. Okay? We also have taxable transfer. Taxable transfers. Yung taxable transfer natin, this includes in contemplation of debt, transfer with retention or reservation or a certain right, transfer under general power of appointment, and revocable transfer. Okay, so it's actually same lang yan siya with NRA. It's just that the property na sa Philippines. No? So how to value if the transfer is bona fide sale or bona fide sale, no amount shall be included in the gross estate. No? So, meaning to say, kasi there are instances na yung transfer may consideration. If the consideration is equal or greater than the fair market value of the property, then bona fide sale siya. Hindi siya included in the gross estate or exempt. If the transfer is sale but for no or insufficient consideration, a difference between the fair value at the time of death and the consideration received shall be considered in a gross state, included in a gross state. So if the transfer is for no or insufficient consideration and the fair value at the time of death is less than the consideration received, no amount shall be included in the gross estate. Okay? So let's discuss treatment for the proceeds of life insurance, no? So, ang proceeds na life insurance, depende siya if it's revocable or irrevocable, or depende siya kung kinsa ang beneficiary, no? See, if ang beneficiary is the state itself, the executor, and the administrator, whether revocable or irrevocable, included siya sa gross estate. Again, whether revocable or irrevocable, no, or even if silent yung problem, no, basta ang beneficiary is the state itself, the executor, the administrator, included sa gross state, whether revocable or irrevocable. However, if third person siya, so dapat revocable yung designation para ma-consider siya na included in the gross estate. Okay? Yan siya. So, we have here, especially for, for NRA, resident alien, no? Kasi they're taxable lang within, diba? So, what intangible assets or properties are considered as situated in the Philippines? Kasi for tangible properties, dali lang naman siya matrace. Like kung asa located ang property, no? But for intangible properties, no, how do we know na ang situs niya is within or situated siya within the Philippines? So first, if franchise, it must be exercisable in the Philippines. Okay? If shares, obligations, or bonds, dapat issued siya by a domestic corporation. However, kung foreign corporation siya, dapat 85% of the business kay nasa Philippines. Okay? Shares, obligations, or bonds issued by any foreign corporation, if such shares or obligations or bonds, dapat naka-acquire siya of business status in the Philippines. Okay? Next naman, we have shares or rights of any partnership or industry established in the Philippines. Okay? So let's have a sample problem for for the gross estate. No? So we have here yan. So we have on March 1, 2015, Mr. Nakaso, a resident, made a revocable transfer with consideration, no? With consideration. So the following additional information is provided. We have consideration received 1,050,000, fair market value at time of transfer is 1,350,000, no? And then fair market value at time of death is 1.2 million, no? So ang requirement nito is to compute for the gross estate, no? Okay, so since my consideration, diba, and it's not a bona fide sale or bona fide sale is because the fair market value of the property at the time of transfer is greater than the consideration received. Okay? So if transfer siya for insufficient consideration, so ito siya transfer siya for insufficient consideration is because the fair market value of the property at the time of transfer is greater than the consideration received. So ang amount na include mo sa gross estate is the fair market value at the time of death, which is 1.2 million, less consideration received, which is 1,050,000. So the amount to be included in the gross estate is 150,000. And we have other tangible properties na 7.5, so therefore the gross estate is 7,650,000. So again, this is transfer for insufficient consideration. Okay? Let's say for example, so I have another example. So what if fair market value at time of death is transfer is 500,000 and consideration is 500,000. So this is actually a bona fide sale, no? Kasi yung consideration niya is just equal to the fair market value at the time of transfer. Therefore, amount to be included in the gross estate is 0. So hindi siya subject to state tax. If ito na case naman, if the fair market value that time of transfer is 500, the consideration is 300,000, ito yung transfer for less than adequate and full consideration, di ba? So, ang include mo sa gross state is the difference between the fair market value time of death less consideration received of 300. So, you have 450,000 to be included in the gross estate. However, if ganito, no, wala siyang consideration, then the entire amount, the entire is taxable, no, or included in the gross estate. It should be included in the gross estate at the fair market value on the time of death. Okay, so that's for for transfer for less than adequate and full consideration. So let's have an example for the valuation of the gross estate. So we have here, Mr. Isanilla left the following properties upon his death. Now, so we have personal properties, real properties, and shares of stock. And we are to determine the gross estate. So first, we have the personal properties. So, or personal tangible properties. So, ang personal tangible properties, they are valued at the fair market value at the time of death, which is 600,000. Okay, so we have 600,000 here. Pero ang real properties naman, it whichever is higher, diba, between the assessed value and the zonal value or the fair value. No? So we have 1.3 million here as our real property. Okay? Kasi whichever is higher, diba? Ang shares of stock naman, depende no, if listed or unlisted. So we have here 3,000 shares in a listed local stock exchange. Then to value, diba? This arithmetic mean between the highest and the lowest. You'll get the highest and you'll get the lowest. I-add mo, i-divide mo ng 2. Yan yung pagkuha mo sa mean. So the mean is 34. That's 35 plus 33. The highest and the lowest divide 2. That's 34. So, i-multiply mo lang siya with the number of shares that the held. So, we have 102,000. Basta unlisted share naman, of course, that would be the book value per share. So, you have 2,000 shares na unlisted or not listed in the LSE times the number of shares, times the book value per share, which is 55. So, 2,000 times 55, we have 110,000. So, the gross state would be 2,112,000. That's the sum of the personal properties, the real properties, and the shares of stock. That's 2,112,000. So we also have another problem here. No? This problem is for the computation of the gross estate. If a decedent is RC, NRC, or RA, NRA with no reciprocity, and NRA with reciprocity. So, balikan natin, basta RC, NRC, and RA, taxable sila within and without. Basta NRA, taxable within. Basta no reciprocity, for as long as property is within, whether tangible or intangible. Ang NRA with reciprocity, taxable lang sila for the property within, pero yung intangible exempted. Okay? So, let's start with the land. No? So, ang land in Italy with 1 million mortgage. So, since Italy ito, so, ang Cyprus is without. Diba? Cyprus is without. So, taxable lang siya pag RC, NRC, or RA. Kasi sa NRA, without man ito, so, hindi siya included. Land in Davao City with a zonal value of 750. So, we'll use 750, no? Kasi whichever is higher. Diba? Basta real property. So, since ano man ito, within, diba? Kasi sa Davao, therefore, taxable si RC, NRC, or RA, pati si NRA. Franchise in USA. So, ang status nito is without. So, yan, ka-RC, NRC, and RA lang. Receivable from debtor in the Philippines. So, ang status ng receivable depende sa domicile ng debtor. Since Philippines man siya, 50,000, di ba? Ito, 50. So, since Philippines siya, then, within, no? Debtor in the Philippines. So, RC, NRC, RA, taxable siya. Actually, si RC, NRC, RA, lahat. Kasi within and without man. But for NRA, si NRA with reciprocity exempted kasi within yung situs. However, si NRA, NRA, no reciprocity included sa kanya. Okay. Receivable from debtor in the USA, so wala. No, hindi siya included for NRA. Kay RA, RC, NRC, and RA lang. Bank deposit in the Philippines, yan. Within yung situs, so included ka RC, NRC, and RA. Kay NRA, no reciprocity. So, wala kay NRA with reciprocity kasi intangible. Niya within. Bank deposit in USA. So, again, kay RC, NRC, and RA lang kasi without ang situs. Shares of stock in PLDT, this is within na intangible. So, included lang siya kay NRA with reciprocity. No reciprocity or without reciprocity at saka kay RC, NRC, and RA. Shares of stock in a foreign corporation, 75%. So, you take note that dapat 85%, no? Para makonsider siya na within. So, without ito, kasi 75% lang. So, kay RC, NRC, and RA lang siya. Other personal properties in the Philippines, no? So, since within, so, then tangible, taxable siya for RC, NRC, and RA, and NRA no reciprocity, and NRA with reciprocity. Okay? So, we have here 364 RC, NRC, and RA. So, take note lahat. It's just that sa land, ang igamit natin is 750. Sa NRA no reciprocity, that's 1195. Again, ang i-include nato is katungtang property na ang site is within. Sa NRA with reciprocity, tanang within ang situs pero tangible lang. Wala appeal ang intangible.